Rumors are swirling that Lil Jeff is behind the killings of Lil Rob and Monty, but did you know that the whole thing was caught on camera? Eyewitness accounts describe the scene as gruesome. In this video, we'll break down the harrowing moment when Lil Jeff gunned down Lil Rob and Monty on camera. What triggered this deadly ambush, and what happened next? Let's get into the details. The high school hit. As 2022 began, a fresh face and sound emerged in Chicago's drill music scene: bloodhound Lil Jeff. Lil Jeff quickly gained notoriety as a rapping hitman who left a trail of bodies in his rise to fame. Among those slain were BKN Lil Rob and Monty, a chilling murder caught on video. The tragedy unfolded at Innovations High School, a downtown Chicago school located in the bustling Loop area. Around 12:30 p.m., Lil Rob and Monty stepped out for lunch, walking toward Washington Street and Wabash Avenue. Despite the busy surroundings, chaos erupted as soon as they reached their destination. Two cars pulled up, armed men leaped out, and a volley of gunfire claimed the lives of Lil Rob and Monty. According to CBS News, the shooting occurred just behind an elevator structure, mere inches from the street and under the watchful gaze of surveillance cameras. Surveillance footage reveals Lil Rob and Monty casually walking toward the elevator structure, utterly unaware of the nightmare about to unfold. If you focus to the right, you'll see the chilling moment a dark SUV pulls up from beneath the train tracks. A man steps out, rushes toward the boys in a frenzy, and opens fire. Once the shots are fired, the attacker bolts back into the vehicle, speeding off toward Wabash and South, then making a quick left onto Madison to escape. While the footage only captured one vehicle during the incident, CPD Deputy Chief John confirmed that two cars arrived and unleashed a barrage of gunfire at a group of teenagers. The victims were identified as 16-year-old Robert Boston and 17-year-old Montario Williams. The attack was calculated, rapid, and terrifying. Eyewitnesses reported hearing 10 to 15 shots in quick succession before the shooters vanished. Local shopkeeper Mohammed Ashik described the sound as similar to firecrackers, likely indicating that one of the firearms used was modified with a switch, making it sound explosive. Ashik recalled ducking for cover as gunshots echoed through the air and recounted the emotional fallout from the horrifying scene. Another witness on the scene revealed that she narrowly escaped serious injury. A stray bullet grazed her coat as she walked to her studio. She showed reporters the bullet hole, a chilling reminder of just how close she came to being another victim. The hit was widely described as an ambush, and the Chicago Police Department immediately launched an investigation to uncover the motive and identify those responsible. Meanwhile, the families of the victims spoke out about their tragic loss, emphasizing that the two boys were focused on school and learning trades to build a better future. A family spokesperson denounced the senseless violence, stating that no one should have the power to end lives so brutally. He also noted the painful timing. One of the boys' birthdays was just days away. The double homicide at Innovations High School sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents fearful and grief-stricken. Mayor Brandon Johnson issued a statement expressing deep condolences to the victims' families and the school community. "My deepest condolences to their families and the Innovations High School community as they grapple with the unimaginable pain and trauma caused by this senseless act of violence," the mayor said. The incident was a devastating blow, and the city entered a period of mourning, but not everyone mourned. Shockingly, the mastermind behind the ambush went online shortly afterward to brag about his crime. He took to Instagram Live, dropping comments that strongly implied he had just claimed 2 more lives, boasting about adding to his deadly tally. For context, this comment tried to unpack what Lil Jeff was referencing. Apparently, he spent a week furious and upset over the watches that were stolen from him. It seemed he couldn't let it go. In his rage, he made statements that sounded a lot like a confession, leaving many wondering why he hadn't been arrested. The most common question viewers had after seeing the footage was, how did he not get arrested? One user offered an explanation, saying, "Everyone keeps asking why he didn't go to jail for it. The feds will let you think you got away with something. They'll wait, let your money stack, let your case build, because solving a murder doesn't pay as much as big RICO and drug cases. They wait until the stakes are higher before making their move." This reasoning helped clarify why some people believed that if Lil Jeff hadn't met his fate, he likely would have been arrested within weeks. Critics argued he was no seasoned killer. He had a habit of running his mouth on camera, practically handing evidence over. People pointed out how much he incriminated himself in the short time he had after stepping into this life. And in the end, Lil Jeff wasn't bluffing during that infamous Instagram Live. Almost a year after the initial hit, the Chicago Police Department hit a breakthrough and started making arrests. The first suspect was Tommy Coleman, an associate of Lil Jeff and the Bloodhounds. He was picked up on the 5700 block of North Mason and charged with double murder. Shortly after, another suspect emerged, James Allison, known on the streets as Jamo Bloodhound. CPD and U.S. Marshals arrested him on February 3, 2025. Word was that Jamo had attended Innovations High School alongside Monty and Lil Rob. Some were curious how Jamo at 19 was still in high school, but there was an explanation. He claimed that he failed intentionally so he could stick around and keep going after his enemies. Well, that's certainly one way to justify failing. What's fascinating is how much Lil Jeff and his crew incriminated themselves in their music and on social media, ultimately leading to a string of arrests. But the real question is, what started this whole violent chain of events? Why did it happen? Bloodhound Lil Jeff credits his friend Vert for introducing him both to rap music and to life on the streets. Early videos show Vert hanging with kids from Drill City and Trap City, back when those neighborhoods still got along. Over time, Vert forged connections on Chicago's west side in an area called the Jungle. By 2021, Vert and his Jungle friends were still tight. The Jungle Boys also had close ties to another set, known as the BKN or Nitty Block, named in memory of a Jungle member, Frank Nitty, who was killed in 2019. It seems Vert brought Lil Jeff into the Jungle Boys circle, as footage shows Lil Jeff posing with guns alongside BKN members. But that alliance didn't last. 2 BKN members reportedly set up Lil Jeff, stealing his watches. And that betrayal brought on a storm of violence. In one of his infamous self-incriminating rants, Lil Jeff dropped cryptic remarks about why Lil Rob and Monty had to go. The explanation? The pair had allegedly robbed him of his jewelry back in the day. The BKN crew took their robbery a step further by hopping online to launch a full-on trolling campaign against the Bloodhounds. Lil Rob and Monty not only bragged about the heist, but they also mocked the stolen goods, claiming the jewelry was fake. The pair flaunted their haul, including 2 watches allegedly snatched from Lil Jeff, and even called out the quality. Amusingly, one of the watches was a knockoff, iced-out piece designed to resemble a high-end AP watch. A sharp-eyed Reddit user pointed out that the watch clasp bore the GLD logo, a telltale sign it was sourced from a store that deals in plated imitation jewelry. When word hit the street, Lil Jeff quickly jumped on Instagram Live to set the record straight. He insisted that nothing had been taken from him by force. According to Jeff, the boys had simply gotten a peek at his watch and bolted while he wasn't paying attention. Not long after, a well-known YouTuber who covers street culture managed to get Monty and some BKN members on his vlog. The group didn't hold back. They repeatedly flaunted the stolen watches and gloated about their robbery. At one point, Monty received a FaceTime call from Lil Jeff himself. The call was tense. Monty opened by asking Lil Jeff, "Where's the J at?" a challenge referencing the stolen jewelry. He then brazenly showed off the stolen watch, rubbing it in Jeff's face. Throughout the vlog, the BKN crew ridiculed Jeff and openly mocked the Bloodhounds. It was January 26, 2024. Unbeknownst to Monty and another BKN member, their trip to Innovations High School in downtown Chicago would be their last. That was the moment they became another set of names on Lil Jeff's growing tally. What led to this breakdown of ties between Drill City and Trap City, spiraling into violence? For Bloodhound Jeff, it all began with the tragic loss of his cousin, Z Money. The start of 2022 saw a rising figure in the Chicago drill scene, Bloodhound Lil Jeff. Jeff often credited his rap beginnings to his friend Vert, whose introduction to music and the streets set him on his path. Jeff's raw, violent lyrics and his chilling music videos quickly earned him both recognition and a certain level of credibility in the drill culture. His rhymes weren't just words, they were warnings, a declaration to the streets of his deadly reputation. In one track, he rapped about his mother's daily prayers for his safety and his cold response, It's fine because he was the one doing the killing. Eventually, he tried to walk back the image, claiming it was all a joke, just entertainment. Yet that particular song was also a tribute to his older brother figure, J Boogie, who was serving time behind bars. With J Boogie locked up, Z Money stepped in, filling that big brother role. Z wasn't just a mentor, he was a player behind the scenes, carrying out the dirty work while shining the spotlight on Lil Jeff. But this solid support system was shattered in 2023. Z Money's death became a turning point that severed the long-standing street alliances. On a sweltering afternoon in March 2023, Z Money, Jeff's cousin and closest confidant, died in a manner both tragic and shrouded in mystery. This devastating loss didn't just change Lil Jeff's world, it dismantled a decade-long truce, leaving Drill City and Trap City at odds and setting the stage for a series of violent. According to news reports, Z Money was sitting in his car on the 1300 block of East 79th Street near the Kimbark intersection, right in the Avalon Park neighborhood. It was there, in the parking lot of a dry cleaner's, that his life took a tragic turn. A car approached, and shots rang out, targeting Z Money. He was rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center, but despite the doctor's efforts, Z Money succumbed to his injuries. His death hit the bloodhounds hard, but it was an especially deep loss for Lil Jeff. With his brother behind bars, Z Money had always been there to look out for him. In the wake of this devastating event, Lil Jeff and his close confidant Q50 honored their fallen ally by tattooing Z Money's name onto their skin, a permanent reminder of the protector they had lost. In 2023, a non-profit newsroom focused on gun violence, The Trace, published a heart-wrenching report on Z Money's case. In it, they shared the painful words of his mother as she described the moment she learned her son was gone. She had received a call from Z Money's girlfriend, delivering the grim news. Still unable to believe it, she called the hospital and was told the awful truth. She rushed there to confirm it with her own eyes. At the hospital, she asked the doctor how many times her son had been shot. The response was chilling. "We stopped counting at 29. That day, Z Money became one of the thousands who had been fatally shot in Chicago over the last decade. One more name on the list of victims whose murderers have never been brought to justice. The Chicago Police Department's records show that countless homicides remain unsolved, leaving thousands of families to grapple with grief and fear in their own neighborhoods. As the dust began to settle, whispers started to spread about the identity of Z Money's killer. On Reddit, rumors emerged suggesting that Z Money had been betrayed by his former associates from Trap City. This revelation lit a fire inside Lil Jeff, fueling the rise of a new and more determined figure on the streets: Bloodhound Lil Jeff. The transformation was sudden and unmistakable. In the wake of Z Money's death, Jeffrey Harris shed his old identity and emerged as Lil Jeff, a figure both feared and infamous. Known on the streets as the Pistol Professor, his reputation for violence was immediate, and his downfall almost as swift. From the day he first stepped onto the scene, Lil Jeff's days were numbered. His final moments, captured on video, marked one of the most dramatic turns in Chicago's drill history. Lil Jeff's death was as violent and chaotic as his life. He lived and died doing what he had become notorious for: taking lives with ruthless determination. One of his lyrics comes to mind: "Every time I see an op, I drop my mask and swing the door." He wasn't just rapping, he was describing his method. And on June 8, 2024, his words became reality for the last time. That day, in broad daylight, Lil Jeff, Q50, and another associate set out on a mission that ended in a hail of gunfire. Surveillance footage, grainy and unsettling, showed them riding in a black SUV, staking out a target in the heart of Trap City. When they spotted their mark on South Road Avenue, Jeff wasted no time. The door flew open, and he emerged firing, every move reflecting the lines he had once rapped. The intended victim, wearing bright yellow shorts, ducked behind a car before making a desperate run toward the porch of a nearby building. Jeff, clad in a black Nike hoodie and gray joggers, gave chase. In his relentless pursuit, he entered the building. But this time, Jeff's violent path came to an abrupt and final end. Word has it that when Lil Jeff spotted his target, he gave it everything he had, chasing and firing with reckless abandon. His crew, however, stayed back at the car, letting shots fly at a nearby gray vehicle, but never following him inside. Once Jeff hit his mark, he ran after him, charging onto the porch like a scene out of an action film. But the situation turned deadly in an instant. The same fantasy Lil Jeff had rapped about, chasing an op into their home, played out before him, only to become his final act. Someone inside the house fought back, unleashing a barrage of bullets that sent Jeff crashing down. There he lay, lifeless on the ground, the notorious bloodhound Lil Jeff. Street whispers said the shooter didn't stop until the magazine was empty. In the same footage, Q50 and another associate rushed toward the porch, trying to cover Jeff. Yet the intense gunfire forced them to retreat, scrambling for safety. As news of Jeff's death spread across social media, fans and fellow artists began paying their respects. Tributes flooded in, mourning the man who had both terrified and mesmerized his audience. One of his close allies, Lilscoom89, posted a heartfelt series of stories. "I love you, and I'ma be with you real soon," he wrote. "Damn, brudda, don't feel real." Another artist and video creator, AMF Visuals, shared a photo of Jeff accompanied by a heartbreak emoji. Together, they had worked on a music video titled Ah the previous year. Upon its release, the song seemed like just another drill anthem. But in hindsight, it carried a chilling undertone. Jeff was rapping about the high school double homicide, and Ah referred to the final sound one of the victims made as they drew their last breath. Reactions online were swift and varied. Some fans reflected on Jeff's legacy, while others pointed out the grim irony of his end. "The energy you put out always comes back to you," one commenter said. Another added, "Trying to chase somebody into their own house off the street is the ultimate crash-out move." It seems Lil Jeff may have thought he was living out his darkest fantasies. However, a closer look at this comparison highlights how Jeff's notoriety lines up alongside the legacy of King Von. Many in the drill scene view them as cut from the same cloth. One observer commented that while Jeff captured the modern-day Chicago street wars in his music, Von's story was more emblematic of a typical Chicago gang member's journey, serving time, beating charges, and surviving a decade-long war in the streets. Von's life reflected what many in the city endure, and he started young, as most gang members do. If you follow Chicago's drill scene, tracking the music, the drama, and the news, you've probably noticed that Lil Jeff's rise to fame mirrors what once made King Von so captivating. Some fans even argue that Jeff outdid Von when it came to street exploits. One striking example is when Jeff posted a photo to Instagram showing off new teardrop tattoos. Each one was said to represent a life taken. His caption read, "Go do the math if you know, you know." The chilling bravado didn't stop there. Jeff boldly compared himself to basketball legend Bill Russell, insinuating his body count was climbing as high as Russell's championship wins. He quipped, "If I catch one more, I'm like Bill Russell. You know I really play ball." These weren't idle boasts. Jeff was sending a message about his reputation and the reality of his lifestyle. During my research, I stumbled upon a post in the Chiricology subreddit that claimed Jeff's reach extended beyond Chicago. According to street rumors, Jeff was respected in Milwaukee, where he was allegedly paid to take out 2 individuals. Whether fact or legend, these tales only fueled his myth, further cementing his image as a feared and notorious figure in the Midwest's violent underground. Come to think of it, did Lil Jeff model his persona after Milwaukee's infamous serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer? Some people started calling him Lil Jeff Dahmer because of the reputation he cultivated. It's a fitting nickname for someone whose exploits defined the Chicago drill scene. But no matter how notorious he became, it's tragically ironic that Lil Jeff fell victim to the very violence he glorified. That brings up the big question: who took down Lil Jeff? When word of his death spread through Chicago, the city buzzed with speculation and a flood of trolling posts on Reddit. Many of these taunts targeted the Hood, a group supposedly responsible for eliminating him to protect their own. One user remarked ominously, "Trap City is in danger forever now." As the trolling intensified, others turned their focus toward identifying the shooter. Members of the Chiricology subreddit quickly began pointing fingers. Just 2 days after Jeff's murder, discussions emerged claiming that Trap City Rob, also known as I-Trap Rob, was the man behind the gun. This accusation gained traction because Rob had been arrested multiple times at the very apartment complex where the shots that killed Jeff had been fired. Things escalated further when a photoshopped image of Trap City Rob holding a football award started circulating online, jokingly labeling him the Defensive Player of the Year. The internet ran with it, and soon another post appeared on Sharecology featuring Rob's photo and the caption, "Wanted." Some users pointed out that in one of these pictures, Rob wore a shirt that seemed to mock Lil Jeff's fate, fueling more speculation and turning the rumor mill even faster. Whether or not the allegations were true, the internet's response highlighted just how much Jeff's violent legacy overshadowed his brief and chaotic rise in the drill scene. Looking back at the history, it's clear that there was a time when Trap City Rob and the Bloodhounds weren't always on opposing sides. Old photos reveal Rob, also known as Unk Rob, posing alongside Bloodhound Vert and another unidentified individual. But the relationship shifted over time, and with it, so did Rob's reputation. When rumors began swirling that Trap City Rob might have been the one who took out Lil Jeff, Rob decided to speak up. Now called Unk Rob by Reddit users, he earned this nickname largely due to his age gap with the younger Gen Z rapper Lil Jeff. As Rob is closer to millennial age, Unk stuck, giving him a persona that stood apart from Jeff's youthful crew. Rob, along with his longtime allies Terror and OTF Black, stood by his porch, cautiously checking their surroundings during the interview. Rob kicked things off by directly addressing the rumors, saying he was not the infamous shooter behind Jeff's murder. But the timing of the interview was complicated. At the time, police were still investigating. Despite his denial, official documents indicate that Robert Coleman, aka Trap City Rob, was eventually arrested in connection with the crime. Authorities cited probable cause for Rob's arrest, based on a witness placing him at the scene where Lil Jeff was killed. Surveillance reportedly captured Rob entering and leaving his apartment on South Street around the time of the shooting. Whether the evidence held up in the end or not, the unfolding narrative put Unk Rob at the center of the controversy, leaving many to wonder how the lines between ally and enemy had blurred so drastically. The surveillance report indicated that Trap City Rob was seen on Rhodes Avenue carrying a black firearm, an alarming discovery since he was a convicted felon barred from possessing any gun. When officers attempted to take him into custody, Rob resisted arrest, ignoring commands and using his weight to make it hard for the officers to handcuff him. The situation escalated, forcing the officers to use various control techniques and takedowns to finally get him under control. Despite his arrest, controversy soon erupted online, particularly on Reddit. One user questioned the reasoning behind any murder charges, saying, "I'm not familiar with Illinois self-defense laws, but it's wild to me that anyone would be charged with murder in this scenario. Was it because they kept shooting him?" Ultimately, the investigation could not conclusively prove that Rob was the one who pulled the trigger. As a result, the murder charge was dropped. However, because Rob was caught with a firearm despite being a convicted felon, he still faced a gun charge. That charge stuck, likely leading to jail time. The development sparked mixed reactions. One fan, Riley, commented, "Lil Rob got killed by Lil Jeff, and now Lil Jeff got by Big Rob." While intended as a joke, the statement reflected the brutal cycle of violence that so often defines gang conflicts, an endless loop of retribution with no escape except death. But the lingering question remained. If Rob's murder charge was dropped, then the actual shooter is still out there. Who could it be? One Reddit user's remark stood out among the chatter, leaving a haunting question mark over the case and its unresolved violence. The claim remained firm. "I said Rob ain't pull it." The real shooter's identity may never come to light, as they have chosen to keep a low profile, avoiding any public acknowledgement. With the mystery unsolved, the streets and the online community continue to speculate, leaving the truth shrouded in secrecy.